Hey, welcome everybody to my Weird Wednesday chess stream here on lichess and Twitch. International Master Will Paschall. What is up, guys? So, got my windows all messed up. I was just taking care of some emails and stuff like that. We're a couple minutes late today, no big deal. So you like the transvestite and the bomb cloud opening, Soltigo. Serious theoretical openings there. Perfect for today's discussion. Okay, we're getting challenges from Mule Skinner. Good to see him. It's been a while. A lousy dirty cheater, Santa Claus. Santa Claus is challenging 5+3. Lousy dirty cheater 7+3. Mule Skinner 7+3. So the theme today, which I'm going to try not to forget as I usually do, is unusual lines. So playing different stuff that's relatively correct. Nothing absurd like 1H4, my favorite tilt opening in Blitz. I'm not going to play ridiculous things, but different stuff that I normally wouldn't play. You know, hopefully sound openings that I normally don't keep in my repertoire. So that's the goal for today. You guys can choose to play something fun as well if you like. Welcome to Soltigo. Good to see you. Arsenal fan. Who else is here? Mule Skinner. Thanks for subscribing, guys. What else is up? That's about it. I guess there's nothing else to talk about. Again, I didn't have time to look at the games from Tata from yesterday. I've been really busy, but we're ready to play some chess. Last night Rich was asking about the tournament. I managed to win, but there were no real ringers. Like sometimes we get these like mysterious guys who are 2700 in bullet, but I don't think we had anyone like that last night. There was a very dangerous 1500 who seemed to play like a 2100. I think he finished third. And Santa Claus was second with a solid performance. I lost to him in the first round. I was afraid I wasn't warmed up, and it proved to be the case. But if you're going to lose, you know, it's good to lose the first round, so it doesn't mess with your like streak starter in the arena tournament. It's going to be an anti-Soltigo today, playing super solid positional play. All right, guys, I'm going to start with whoever are subscribers, I guess. Mule Skinner and Soltigo. Well, Soltigo's not a subscriber. He's an honorary subscriber because he's our moderator. Arsenal fan hasn't challenged me yet. I guess we'll start with Mule Skinner, and I have to remember to play unusual openings. He plays the French, so there's virtually not that many things I could do. I guess I can play e4, e6, queen e2. That's a line that I've played on occasion. But I feel like that plays into Mule Skinner's strengths because he likes closed Sicilian. He likes closed positions in general. What can we do with the white pieces here that, I don't know, can give us opportunities to open the game later? Or we can think of another idea against the French. Running out of ideas here what to do on move one. We can play, what does he play against d4? Slav, I guess, or kings, and now I can't remember. It's been a while. We've played 137 games. I should remember what he plays against d4. But I always usually play, what the heck does he play against d4? That's strange. Why don't I remember what he plays against d4? I've been playing mostly knight f3 and c4 in all of my games for the most part. All right, let's just play the Polish opening. You can't really play the French against that. You know, it gives us some flexibility. He plays Grunfeld? I don't think so. So he plays the main line, I guess, e5, and you know, bishop e2, white kind of falls behind in development, so I think I'll go with a3 here. Most of the experts play bishop b2, the Polish opening experts, but I can handily play this like a St. George with an extra tempo, since I played that opening with black so much. h4, h5 for white. That's something I do when I get angry and I've lost a lot of games, to try to handicap myself. And then winning feels all the more satisfying. But I try to be more mature than that in my middle age. h3 is horrible. g4, it's basically, h3 is a grob, it's a delayed grob essentially. And I don't really like the grob, but I guess it's okay. I don't know, I just never developed a taste for it. So bishop d6 is best, you know, in the normal reversed position like a St. George. How much does an extra tempo really matter in an opening like the St. George defense? I don't know. I have to go back to playing e4, a6 with black on occasion. I haven't played one in like over 10 years. Around, well, maybe not over 10 years, but probably close to 10 years anyways. I don't remember exactly. Like, everything between like 2000, all these Grandmaster tournaments I played in Hungary, like between 2004 and 2011, they kind of blend into each other, and I don't even know the difference between 2004 and 2011. It seems like the same thing to me. Queen e7, so that's the recommended setup, you know, that I've been recommended to me, and I've recommended to other people. If he's white, you know, with the extra move here, and Sheppy challenges us, what difference does it make, this tempo thing? I don't think we really have an option here. Because if you play c4, they can just take it and hold on to it with some, you know, c6 type of stuff. So I just think e3 is kind of the only move. I guess you could do some kind of d3, excuse me. d3 would be strange though. So there's nothing other than just playing the straight up setup I would normally play with black in the St. George. St. George is not really correct, but it's really easy for white to overextend themselves and not take it seriously. The temptation to overextend is often very, very strong, and therefore the practical results are quite good. I never really met anyone else who actually played it at the master level, except for the Russian master, Maxim Chetverek. I can't recall like meeting any IMs or GMs who ever played the St. George. Are you not transposing to a standard knight f3 now anyway? A standard knight f3. Well, I mean, you know, maybe Santa Sierra played like knight f3, d5, b4, but that's, you know, that's a different situation. I mean, black doesn't have control of e5 from the get-go. So, I mean, the Santa Sierra opening or whatever, where he played like a basically kind of delayed Polish, is different because black doesn't have both pawns in the center. No, I don't think it's like standard. If knight f3, you prevent e5. So, anyways, I like having the extra tempo, I have to say. Although it feels weird doing this opening with white a little bit. But in terms of your own pawn structure and queenside expansion, well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's a very standard formation in that sense, yeah. the more hype I'm on in the opening, probably the less the extra tempo really matters, I guess. Anyway, guys, welcome. Good morning. So, generally the strategy is to not, necessarily try to get into like a weird French, a bad French with d4. The point that Miles made was that in some cases you can go and induce black to play a6 and then trade on d5 and play like knight a4, threatening to go into b6, and maybe then the French type of setup with d4 for me becomes interesting. Now this is going to have to be carefully calculated. Emil Skinner is doing what like is a recommended thing with white. It's also easy for him to overextend himself. We can play knight e2, but I have to think about c5 as an intermezzo here. If I play c5, bishop c7, if he takes, I take on d6. He takes back, I take on c3. I'm slightly better. If I play c5, he plays bishop c7, then I play knight e2. He doesn't have c5 like locking down his pawn structure. So that's kind of an interesting intermezzo. I'm not sure if this is good, but I'm going to try it. Because I've had games with black where that really leads to a problem. I play knight e2, they play c5. And that's been a bit of an issue in some of these lines. So I figure I'm going to try to put my extra tempo to use with c5. I don't know if it's good, but it's an idea anyway. We've only got a few minutes to think here. We're kind of artificially isolating his structure, the d4 pawn. Yes, my pawns are extended as well, potentially overextended with c5. So I don't know if it's good or bad ultimately. And these are the kind of positions where my opponents in the past overextended themselves. They'll do like d6, or in this case d3, knight g3. I've had a lot of people drop pawns, like bishop takes f6, e4, bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, knight takes e4. The black center can become overextended if he tries to play for too much. That's typically what happens. This bishop, the temptation is to try to kill this bishop by doing like d3 and e4. But it's a question over whether black can maintain those pawns, or that if they fall, it can get really ugly. I can also break with f3. He's actually trying to do it here. He can recapture with the pawn on f6 in this variation, but I have knight g5, among other things. Knight g5, bishop e5. So I think we should probably think about taking on f6, damaging his pawn structure. But probably the correct move is knight to d4. However, normally I wouldn't have played c5. So now this square c5, d5 is weakened for me. The d5 square being weakened as opposed to other positions. Although, okay, sometimes my opponent had played like c5 instead of me playing c5 in these type of positions. All of our hopes, really pinned on breaking out with f3. But f4 blockading is possible as well. I can also play knight f5. Bishop takes, knight takes. Knight f5 is kind of interesting. Does he have a good square to go to? I don't know. I mean, f3 is more thematic. Maybe I can play something like queen b3 and castle queenside, or yeah. I mean, it's very likely that it would be necessary for me to have movement for my king to bail out from the center if I can't move my f1 bishop for a while. So, but as of right now, I guess I'm just undermining his central pawn. Come to think of it, I mean, in many cases, yeah, I mean, queen b3 is going to be key. Now he's like really asking for it with knight f5. What is the deal with this? I'm bearing down on g7, and I have pawn takes pawn and queen g4 type of ideas. He has queen e6. I mean, queen e6 is kind of weird. I thought he would go to e6 for sure. No, we're just chopping away at the center. Now there I really thought maybe he can play knight e5 or something. But bishop takes g3. I guess I have no choice. I have to take back with the knight. Well, I shouldn't say that. But he's really overextended here. Big time. Just bishop takes d3. Not so clear. Bishop takes d3, knight takes g3, queen g4, knight e5, queen takes g3, knight takes d3 check. That's pretty nasty. I don't want to see that happen. So I've got to get the d3 pawn. Maybe I just play bishop takes d3 right away. Screw the... Well, this is what I was analyzing, but I was playing queen g4. Maybe we don't have any time for queen g4. We just have to play pawn takes g3 and have these two bishops bearing down on his king side. That's good enough. Queen f3. Bishop g4. Queen f4. And then he's getting developed with tempo. So I'm not sure what's the best approach here. Maybe I should just take it first. And then castle. He's going to have f5. I mean, f5 holds it together. He's down a pawn, but it's still not that easy for me. I've got really good bishops. He's down a pawn. I mean, we're probably winning, but it's not so easy to bust him. Now he has like h5. No. Wow, dude. All right, 2 bishops, just too strong there. I wonder if anybody ever played this opening at the master level. There's got to be some games. Nobody I've ever heard of. So d4 turns out to be the main move played here. And there's one game a guy 2300 lost to Goganov. So my move is a novelty at the master level, the c5, it looks like. This we're creating new theoretical ideas here. Stockfish has them equal, 92 and c5, so it's interesting. It's an interesting contribution to opening theory. All right, guys, what's up? Bishop c7, 92, and then the engine actually gives him a question mark for d3. The extra tempo might make a big difference. Knight g3, e4. Stockfish wants me to take on f6. And it's definitely playable, but it's a really big bishop I'm giving up on f6. And the other move wants me to play is knight g5, but I saw knight e5. For some reason it doesn't like this. But to me that looks like the most normal move. It's actually a good game by both sides. Stockfish has it equal. So this is a critical position. Knight bd7, knight f5, and here you blundered. I mean, you need to play queen e6 because that move is much more active than. Actually, the engine's giving a rep draw with knight d4, queen e7, knight f5, queen e6, knight d4. That's kind of funny. All right, good game. So, what do we have? Las Hazior. Thanks everybody for watching. What do we have for subscribers here? Soltigo being an honorary subscriber. Let me know if you want to play Soltigo. NM Shepu. So no other subscribers challenging me yet. We'll go back to the top of the list. Usually Soltigo wants me to wait for people. Whenever you want to play Soltigo, I'll accept your challenge. Lousy, dirty cheater. So I have to remember today's theme is unusual openings. Sometimes I forget. Now I'm getting white again. And we have more options though against other players. Against Mule Skinner, I just have a hard time playing unusual lines against the French. So the Alekhines defense, or Alyekhin. E4 knight f6, what do we have for interesting lines against that? Yeah, once I did something weird like e5, queen d5, e5, knight d5, queen f3, I think I played. It didn't really work out too well. There is the e5, knight d5, c4, knight b6, a4. Isn't that a move? I don't have anything really off the top of my head to play against the Alekhines defense. Well, we'll just think of something. I'm not going to waste all my time, but what can we do here? Just like g3. That's probably kind of a normal line. But as I said earlier, the point of the stream is not to play like ridiculous things. It's just to play variations I've never played before. Now, maybe Lousy Dirty Cheater will play knight g8. Stockfish actually prefers knight g8 to knight d5, and I think that's one of the reasons why some people have messed around with that move. The knight notoriously ends up in a bad square on b6, and so maybe the truth is that Alekhine's defense with knight g8 isn't really any worse. And according to my teammate Zoltan Varga, Grandmaster and Alekhine's defense expert, in the old days, like when the Alekhine's defense was first invented, a lot of players, like knight g8 was a normal move. Then it was kind of forgotten. Another player may have left the game. We'll give him a minute to come back. Kasparov says the Alekhine's defense for pawn's attack Planinich variation. I don't know which one that is. Before pawn's attack, I wouldn't call it unusual. Exciting and fun. You know, if Lousy Dirty Cheater doesn't come back in like a minute and a half, I'll abort the game. Oh, f4 g5. Uh-huh. Interesting idea for black. Maybe I'll try that sometime. It's like a wing gambit. I was actually thinking if black can do that in the Grand Prix attack of the Sicilian the other day. I think I mouse slipped or somehow mouse slipped g5 when I was analyzing a position. And then I started thinking, hey, can you play it like a wing gambit? But not really on the king side. Playing g5 is sometimes done in the French defense as a sort of wing gambit. Never seen that particular idea in the four pawns attack. I think that black should have, you know, many good resources against the four pawns attack. Four pawns attack seems like that's what we're trying to get white to do, you know, like overextend himself. However, looking at the lines recently, it wasn't so easy. Alright, let's try something original here, b3. I mean, this is probably a variation, but not a common one. Yeah, no problem, cheater. I'm figuring that you're gonna be back. The wing gambit against the Dutch. Yeah, there was a guy who played that against my last opponent who played the Dutch. I was preparing for my opponent this past weekend, and he lost to a d4 f5 g4 guy. I lost the one time I played that. I think that Korchnoi played it. There are two ways to play that line for white. It's kind of like the wing gambit in the Sicilian. You can play well, I'll tell you later. Let's concentrate on the game here. So d6. And now if I play knight f3, black can play bishop g4. The only other move that makes any sense is bishop b5. Worthy of consideration. Bishop b5. Then I would have to take on c6, give him a bishop on c6, and play like knight f3. Not really appealing either. Actually, this whole position isn't very appealing to me. I guess I can play knight f3, and if he plays bishop g4, then bishop b5. Although here he can just simply take. Taking on e5 looks perfectly good. So what do I do? What do I do? It just doesn't look like anything for white. You can't really maintain the pawn. well, I shouldn't expect to get an advantage here. But I don't want to overextend myself. Knight f3, bishop g4, bishop b5 would be okay. But now I'm looking at knight f3, takes on e5, takes on e5, takes on e5, bishop takes e5, f6. He would weaken himself a little bit there. But objectively, I don't think we have any advantage here. So the b3 looks really pretty weak. Hopefully we can just maintain equality and not be worse. I haven't done anything that bad that I should necessarily be worse. I don't think you should just go from slightly better with the white pieces to worse. There should be a gradual progression, you know, slightly better to equal to worse. You'd actually have to make 2 mistakes to be worse, theoretically. And it's like chess is a just game, you know, so I should basically still be equal after one questionable move. b3. E takes d6, yeah, maybe I should play e takes d6. But he can take back with the queen as well as with the well, actually he can take back any way he wants. But maybe that's better. This line actually I thought was my preferred situation. Although I didn't really calculate knight f4. On knight f4 I'll have to castle. My king side is going to be a little bit sketchy. h3. I mean, h3 just ends up like, speaking of g5, well, I'll have that. h3 could end up being dangerous. So let's not even touch our kingside pawns. A little hard to get out of the pin here. I don't know if I can say black's better, but I don't think white is better. But he wasted time. I mean, I don't think that a6 is necessary. He should just get on with his development. I would just leave the bishop on b5. It's not hurting you. Don't spend the tempo on a6 here with black. Now, I don't know what to say. It's a little awkward for black. I mean, there's always the g7 pawn, but then again, he might be able to sacrifice it. So I think that e6 and straightforward development is best. It's tempting to play something like queen d7, but if you're going to end up having to play e6 anyway, then queen d7 doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you can do like queen d7, queen f5, trying to build on the pin on f3, that actually might be strong. So it looks like black could even be better. How do I get out of this ridiculous pin? I probably don't. I probably have to play like, well, I do. I mean, I have to play d3, knight d2. And my position is very passive. The knight on d5 is strong. The pin is unpleasant. He can build up with knight f4 to some degree. My queen is not good. I'm not even considering taking the pawn on g7. Not an option. That's just suicide for white. So we can now try to maybe unpin with queen e1. Queen e1. Why do I get these white notifications? I have more than one. I have more than one board open. Whoops. Why do I have 3 boards open? What happened? Okay, that's really weird. No, I don't. All right. I thought I had 3 boards open, but just 2. Okay, maybe queen c1. If I play queen e1, he has knight b4. Now he jettisoned his whole pawn structure. But it's kind of justified. I mean, his center is very strong. Quite awkward. Knight c4. And what is my idea? Well, now I'm back in the pin again. And I was thinking about knight e3. This is sort of probably a bad move, actually. Yeah, nice move, queen e8. Going to g6. Now I'm going to regret this. Black's played pretty well. The only thing is the clock. Bishop h5 now. This way I'm okay. Now it's probably about equal. And in the endgame I might just well be better. Now his pawn structure starts to come into question. If I play g4, takes on h3, takes on f5, I don't think that's sound. I have king h1, knight h2. So he's better all the way, you know, until the very end. This is a really bad line. Knight c6, apparently inaccurate. Should just play d6 right away. d6 right away is cleaner. There's no bishop e5. And now I played the best move. So people were suggesting pawn takes pawn, but I think he can take back anyway here. Queen takes is interesting. Right, so knight f3. I thought just simply taking on e5, man. I mean, this is nothing for white. Even f6 weakens you a little bit, but it's playable. Just something like bishop f5, getting your bishop outside the pawn chain with equality. That's easier. Now this position I thought was kind of interesting, but a6 was unnecessary. Still, I think that black is fine. Now I played knight c4, but I don't really like that move. I don't know. I made 0 inaccuracies, 0 mistakes, it says. It's all a matter of opinion, Stockfish, but you could probably give b3 a dubious. This move looks like it's definitely doing nothing. I wanted to get out of the pin, but there's this annoying knight b4 move. Oh, I have queen g4. I think I saw that though, you know, and I thought, okay, he takes on f3. But now e6 is hanging. Okay, so I have queen, so I should have played queen e1, maybe. Still black's fine. You're at least equal here, I think. He just blundered. I don't like this take. Knight takes e3 is just not good. So bishop h5 and you're fine. That's all. It's still not easy for me to get out of the pin, and black is a tiny bit better. Alright guys, next game, I'll play Santa Claus. We'll just take the challenges in order, I guess. Unless someone coming along who's a subscriber. By the way, please subscribe. I'm getting white every game. Please subscribe to the stream. Please accept any subscribers before me. Yeah, we don't have any challenges from subscribers. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. I upload the streams to the YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. And Tomorrow night I have a subscriber stream, so I have to remember to send out a message about that. So it's Thursday night, 7 p.m. here on lichess. We're doing like game analysis. If you're a subscriber to the stream, or you want to become a subscriber to the stream, you can submit a game and we'll analyze it here together on the stream. It can be your own game, like a Grandmaster game, Alpha Zero, whatever you want. A game from Tata. So what everyone on the list plays before me. Arsenal fan, where are you? You're not even in the list. What's that? If I challenge now, can you take me in order? Yeah, we'll play you right after S4. So subscriber stream 7 p.m. Thursday night with game analysis. Dear Santa Claus. Alright, let's play E4. We don't have many games with Santa Claus. He actually played the Dutch yesterday. Maybe I should have thought of a good anti-Dutch line. Speaking of G4, was that why you guys suggested G4 a minute ago? Arsenal fan, did you realize there was a potential Dutch with Dear Santa Claus I could play? I wish I had done it now. I never really had good results with this opening, but let's try the center game. The siren theme. I haven't had too many ambulance sounds because the window's closed. It's been so cold and I haven't had the window open. I mean, you can definitely hear them even with the window closed. But I noticed one of the problems with the ambulance sounds here. Like every vehicle has these ambulance sirens. I mean, even the transportation company, like the city transportation emergency vehicles, or even the like things that look like police cars that are basically from the transportation authority, even those have like blaring sirens. So Dear Santa Claus played D5. I have Bronstein's 200 open games over there. I'm almost certain he must have discussed this. He talks about the position with the knights on F3 and F6. He talks about it as an answer to that line. Like you play the Petrov and white plays D4 and then black plays D5. But here it's a little different. Well, this is definitely unusual. I mean, I would imagine I could just take on E5. If I take on D5, queen takes D5 looks like a totally legit opening. And knight F3 would be a weird elephant gambit, I guess. So I almost have to take here by default. I would think by default that's like white's only move. Now he can play some symmetrical with the queen exchange, or he can do like D4, like an Albin style D4. He does this. I mean, this has to be better for white. How much better? That's the question. Just knight C3, I would imagine. I'm not going off on any weird tangents with like bishop C4 chasing the F pawn. I don't think that's a bad move necessarily, but. And now we could do bishop G5 check, or we can do bishop G5 check. Feels like a cheapo kind of. Bishop G5 check, but I'm threatening I mean, actually, why not? Bishop D2 was my original plan. Now I castle. Bronstein would love it. And then what, like bishop b5? Developing a piece? Or not? Does bishop b5 really help my cause in any way? I think it just helps him to develop, actually. So Santa Claus is rolling the dice. Okay, here I have to play knight g3 now. It's a very strange Cairo Khan. We're up a pawn. The knight can't take on e5 there. Now he can take on e5 if he wants to. Basically an unsound gambit for black, but if white wasn't accurate, you know, you could mess it up. Giving me an early Christmas present. Santa Claus did not give me a Christmas present yesterday. He took my presents away. Now bishop b5. Okay, I mean, if he wants to take the pawn on a2, very well, you know, we'll let him take the pawn on a2. Knight in the center. Bishop d2, bishop c5. What's up, guys? Anything interesting happened in Tata yesterday? I didn't check the results. What were the decisive games? Somebody must know. Giri and Anand were in first place after 4 rounds, or was there some rest day or something? With my luck. I'm asking about games during a rest day. I had a terrible headache after the blitz tournament last night. I didn't eat like in the evening and played the blitz tournament. But by the end of the blitz tournament last night, I had this wicked headache. All right, what's up now? He's not threatening anything. Kind of threatening, I would say, to let's save our pawn. I was thinking he's threatening to play knight to d5 in a way. I would liken that to a threat. f4, knight to d5. Okay. We're up a pawn, but our e5 pawn is a little overextended. Want to give up our white squared bishop or not? I think I have to at this point to hang on to the pawn. Material is everything. No, I'm just kidding. Not with me. I'm not a crazy sacrificial player, but I'm not materialistic, and I don't, you know, think that's a big priority in the game, or it shouldn't be. I like to make positional sacrifices, pawns, exchanges, pieces, queens. Oh, it's... What is the off day? Yesterday or today? Geary still manages to draw... What? Magnus won and Naka lost due to controversial touching of his king. Oh no. Not again. Another one? Wasn't that what happened with Aronian before? Controversial touching of his king. I've played opponents who controversially touched their king. It's good to have a witness. You definitely want to have a witness. Knight d4 maybe. Running out of time. You see, Serbian Santa Claus is fast. And I don't think my move is necessarily best. Jeez. I almost just dropped this guy. We've got a surprise for Santa Claus. Merry Christmas, Santa Claus. I almost hung my rook on e1. He actually wasted a tempo with c6. If he had just gone bishop d5 right away, I think he would have pretty good compensation for the pawn down with the two bishops and my pawns being kind of overextended. He was making some progress toward full compensation for the pawn. Should I give him another pawn back in the spirit of the holiday season? It's actually a little hard to break through. Okay, we'll get a rook on the 7th. This has got to be winning. Knight f6 and then rook d7 if he lets me. My chair is not really optimal, but it's the best one I've got for the purpose. So I think that Santa Claus was doing pretty well there after the unsound pawn sack. But I'm wrong about this. I thought he could play bishop d5. I guess I have the same trick. I have even better trick, b4. Ouch. So it looks like he didn't quite equalize. It was a Christmas present. But let's wait a second here. Yeah, he never really equalized. Okay, another perfect game by me. Let's see, we're up to 0, 0, 0, 13 cent pawn loss. Okay, I didn't do anything. I just managed to hang on to my extra pawn. 11 cent pawn loss. I'm a computer. So d4, d5, question mark. Wow, this has been played by Heinrich Teske, Dibiendu Barua, and Kiryakov and Drazic. That's like 4 reasonable players. What the heck? What is the deal with this? I mean, I don't even understand. And what? All right. Now, guys, clarify something for me. All these games you see here in this list, okay? White only has one good move in this position. So how do you explain that only 1 out of 9 games or 8 games is d takes e5? There's something wrong with the opening explorer. That's my point, okay? Because these guys would be playing, I mean, they're not GMs. Anaberdia's pretty decent, you know. He beat Drazic in 2016. But he's the only one who played d takes e5, right? No. In 1979, Grivas lost. That's strange. I swear there's got to be something wrong with the opening explorer, because there's only one move in this position. Like, what? How could these people have played e takes d5? I think there's something going on with the opening explorer, that it's picking up like transpositions. I mean, there's no way you play e takes d5 here. After queen takes d5, black is okay. Knight c3, black is okay. Knight d2 is absurd. That is so strange. I just don't believe that. This is forced. But it looks like Grivas' move is better. Like bishop f5 trying to hold on to the pawn. At least putting up a fight. Temporarily. Threatening mate. And I just took. So I did play accurately here. It looks like I played like literally perfectly. I wasn't sure about this position. I put my knight on e2 instead of f3 because I was thinking about putting my knight on f4 in some, and now the computer actually likes it better than knight f3. So I literally played a perfect game. All right, let's but it was easy to do. Let's go continue here with our challenges. Soltigo. Any GM or IM? Nope, you should win tournaments. Just little note, just title note, whatever that means. All right, knight f3, unusual opening for black. Well, I already did a Polish opening. I would play b5 sometimes here for fun, but we've already covered that for today. So we'll play the f5, the Dutch. I mean, the Dutch isn't, it's not an unusual opening, but for me it is, because I never play the Dutch, and I haven't played it at all on Weird Opening Stream, and I was thinking about that last week. This is my tournament game with white from last week. I think that the secret to knight f3 against the Dutch is that you don't have to play d4, but Soltigo just transposed. You can also play e6 depending on what kind of Dutch you want to play. You can't play g4 now. You can. You can play g4 now, but I doubt that it's really correct. g4, pawn takes pawn, knight e5. It's like a king's gambit. Interesting to move knight on bd2. There is a setup I've seen using this that's quite interesting for white. Against the Leningrad in particular, knight bd2 might be an interesting move. I might have used this against Lichess once. I think we actually had a game that was like g6, c3, bishop g7, queen c2. And then playing white playing for e4 with c3, queen c2 is a pretty cool system. But there's got to be something here for black. In the Dutch, you have to be really, really thoughtful about your move order. I agree, Arsenal fan. The knight f3, g4 idea is not really sound. But you can play a lot of unsound things in blitz. Get away with it. My idea is c3, knight c6, queen c2, e5. Well, Soltigo didn't play c3. Now he's playing e3. Yeah, you can just do this. One of my other students, Mr. Coffee, he was here before last night. He played this setup against the Dutch in a tournament game. It's quite a decent setup for white. Although the knight on d2 is so early, you might be better off with like c4 and knight c3 instead. But Soltigo can also play it like bishop d3 and a quick e4. So I'm going to continue with the plan here. I'm trying to do an ultra quick e5. Well, I don't know. Anything that I do in the Dutch should not be taken seriously. Santa Claus. I'm just making it up. I just keep trying to think back, you know, to my many hundreds of games and thousands of games in the chess club and every tournament game I've ever played. And I just don't think I ever played the Dutch. It's really weird. I don't think I ever played it in one game, but my memory is kind of slipping. I might have played it in an offhand game against a really low-rated player somewhere along the line, just for fun. I just, you know, would occasionally get paired with like a 1600 in an open tournament or something, and maybe the first round of a week open tournament, when I was like 2200, I might have tried a Dutch against someone, but I don't remember ever doing it. I did think about learning the Dutch at one point, and I was playing it a lot in blitz, but never reached the point where, you know, the project was actually scrubbed, as they say at NASA. The project was scrubbed before it left the ground. It's kind of like the French. It was the same thing. That project got scrubbed, but I actually did play the French in a couple of games. Hikaru's final GM norm. That was his next to last game. And Volokitin's dad and a couple other people faced my French defense. Alright, so bishop c4. Now we have, we kind of have to think a little bit about this. e6 is the most fluid. It's e6 or e5. I mean, there really isn't any other option. Was e5 just a problem after pawn takes knight g5? The positional Dutch. Soltigo doesn't know any openings, and I don't know what I'm doing on the black side of the Dutch very well, so I mean, I don't want him playing knight g5, Arsenal fan. You could play d5 theoretically. I know that, you know, so I could always wait for him to play knight g5 and play d5. But I'm not very fond of that sorry, structure. Still not 100%. The guy from the chess world contacted me this week to do another video series for their site, but I'm still coughing and stuff, so I don't really want to record videos at this time. A3, yeah, that's a good move. I like it. What are we going to do? Queen e7. At least with a3, there's no more bishop a3. No more bishop a3 on my queen on the diagonal. g5. Now I said there's no more bishop a3. He's gonna like try to do it anyway just to spite me or something. But this looks pretty fluid. And I always have knight d8 if a knight came to g5 or something like that. Soltigo is tricky with the castling. He likes to kind of keep his options open, which is smart. You know, that's one of the best ways to dynamize the chess game is by not committing yourself to castling. If one side castles, you you can try to launch an attack against his king. However, attacks are difficult to execute if your pieces aren't like fully developed, and that often is the case if you're not castled. So it's a kind of catch-22 usually. If I castle here, rook e1 kind of looks annoying. I guess I can always play knight e4 or something. I could just play e5, but I won't have an easy time getting castled. But e5 looks playable. But then again, he can take and play. I'd have to take with a knight. Reminds me of my game from yesterday. Alright, let's just do something before it's too late. Yeah, that's what I figured. But I think we go here. Stop him in his tracks. Time. You're down. That's a dirty blitz trick. Calling people down when they're not actually down to like make them waste 2 seconds. Bishop d3 is a good move. A good move, sir. Now you have to change plans. Now you can go back to c4 and all that jazz. Pretty much about equal. We played this the safest possible way to frustrate Soltigo. Still, it's about equal. I'm not sure if this is the best move. Wow. Uncompromising. I'm not afraid. Oh no. Okay, now the structure favors us a little bit. Soltigo had to be fancy. We got a Benoni structure going on now. Could even play f4. I mean, the Benoni structure should favor black. Now his bishop is kind of bad. We're just waltzing in. Not so easy to waltz, but crawling in. Not so simple, actually. Can we get our king active? That's the big question. Is it worth it? Really, I mean, the queen side is where my advantage lies. I'm not interested in your pawn. I mean, I might be at a future time. Very cagey tricks, trying to simplify. What's up? All of his pawns are on the wrong color. That seems like a definite issue. So we just do this carefully. We don't give him any counterplay, and then his pawns should start to leave us. Oh, okay. Soltigo, bad idea. No, I need to take this first, or does it matter? Might as well just take this one. Outside pawn. He made a couple of bad exchanges very quickly. You know, queen on d5, and then this rook exchange. Bishop's endgames are not so drawish like well, this is okay actually. Not so drawish like a rook endgame. They're probably the next best, but nice try with g5. But there's just not enough going on here. My outside pawns are optimal. So, too many pawns on the wrong color. Bad queen exchange on d5. Even after that move, though, you know, you really should have been okay. Probably, if you played well. But it was unnecessary to trade queens like that on those terms. So, it is over. Too many pawns. Pick a side. Any side. A knight has been promoted. So let's see, like it's just totally equal when he blundered with queen d5 check. And the computer even puts him, wow, f4. That's a switch and sug you should have seen, man. That's totally your style. f4. I mean, even the exchange on e5 is probably still a draw, although it's slightly unpleasant. Queen f4, another move. White's only a tiny bit worse here. No, I think this is still close, but you start putting pawns on the wrong color, man. I mean, h3 is not where you want to have your pawns. You need to keep the pieces on the board here and create as much tension as possible. h3 was a bad move, and then a4 is panic button. So I guess I played this pretty well. Apparently I made one inaccuracy here on move 29 in the game. The engine wants to take the pawn, but I thought he's winning my a pawn if I do that. What's the deal? That's okay because I have bishop d5, bishop takes, bishop b3 takes d5, didn't see it. So I played rook b8. Here you could have tried e5 right away. You basically lost the tempo on e5. You can't trade rooks, although this is objectively losing for white. You still have a chance of d6 and rook e7. So it looks like just avoid the exchange of rooks is your last hope. All right. We're going to take these players. Shaman X lost rating points since yesterday when he finished third in the Blitz tournament. He played e4. Okay, I'm supposed to play unusual openings. At least for me, you know, something unusual. What can we do? Thought about Owen's defense. But let's try this. Alekine's defense, but he played bishop c4. Okay, well, he gets credit for the unusual opening then, because I've never seen this before. Bishop takes f7, queen h5 check. I guess I could walk out to like e6. G6, queen d5 check, and he like, I don't know what the deal is. The knight takes e4. Bishop takes f7, king takes f7, queen h5 check, g6, queen d5 check, king e8 or king g8. But I mean, I'm just going to play here. This looks pretty solid for black. It could be like a hillbilly attack in the Caro-Kann. Now I can take on e4. That's kind of weird. Knight takes e4, knight takes e4, d5, bishop b5 check, c6. Well, it's playable. Simpler is like bishop d3. It's transposing to some Rubinstein French-like thing. But, you know, this move actually is very playable. Queen takes d5, I guess, is the more dynamic than taking with the pawn. We have to think about the bishop on c8. We have the bishop pair. Bill Wall plays this. Bill Wall. There's a couple of Walls. There was like Tim Wall, Bill Wall, Brian Wall. There was another Wall from New Jersey. And that's just the Walls I know. There was Gavin Wall. All sorts of Walls. Kind of hate trading queens, but I've got an ending with two bishops. I mean, you can't really complain about that. Now, Bill Wall seems familiar. I think when I was working at ICC for Chess FM, we had the guy join us, or there was a show we did. We were doing live commentary of some tournament, maybe in Russia, and I think Bill Wall was involved with the show somehow. Maybe he was a guest on the show. Now that you mention it, bishop c5. I like how this guy like moves instantly, but he's 1400 in bullet. He finished third in the blitz tournament yesterday. Like, what is the deal with this guy? Govin Kurt, you're obsessed with the ambulance thing. Well, they're not that going since I closed the window. The easiest way to shut them out. But thanks for the offer of, was it you who offered me cold medicine the other day? Actually, I used to live closer to you in my last apartment years ago, pre-2010. I guess I moved to my current location in 2010. I used to live near you in the same district. Now he's got this annoying kind of play on the A file, so... Where's my bishop going? Should I need to retreat? It's hard to get the position I want here. Something very strange about this guy. He's got 1448 in bullet. Finished third in the blitz tournament. I said that already. But it's pretty weird. I don't know. I don't like f5. I don't like f6. Maybe I play a6. I'm not really in love with this position. White is okay. It's like equal. Our bishop's advantage isn't really an advantage. Just hard to do anything. I think I'd have to just suck it up and accept that it's basically equal. Oh, I can't even play that. I need to get my king out. But I didn't want to put my king on e7 where it's exposed to attack. It has to go to f7. We don't want a castle because we want our king closer to the center for the endgame. This is equal. I don't want to fix his pawns either. Not really. It might be the lesser of the evils at this point, though. I just don't have an advantage here. This is actually a blunder. He missed b5. Now white is only equal. But this is increment blitz, unlike yesterday's 5-0. But this guy shouldn't be going around with a 1400 bullet rating. As I was making the point yesterday, it's not really cool. Because he's just going to be jacking people in any kind of tournament in that rating system. I mean, he's like 2100 in reality, so that's something that needs to be corrected. It's not cool, basically. I don't know what to do. Grab some space on the other side of the board randomly. His rating actually dropped from 15 something to 1448 since last night, and I was already making the point that his rating is bogus. So I guess in principle he went out and lost even more points to make it even more suspicious. The best city sounds? Strange player. It's hard to put your finger on it. In some sense, he seems really strong, and in the next moment, not. I estimated his real strength to be about 2100 in bullet, because I was guessing based on 5-0 games. Maybe not bullet, but anyway. Okay, so in blitz, we'll put him at 2100. Okay, what are we doing? Trying to prove our position. We want to weaken the d4 pawn. He's like psychic. I really wanted to play rook e8, but he stopped me. I don't really want to exchange rooks here. He missed knight c3. So he's not like flawless tactically. But rating manipulation is not cool. I have h4. I want my pawns on dark squares. Now we have a passed f-pawn. That's the latest update. What's going on here? The rook should be maximum mobility, but I don't know, man. I'm not really winning this. Slightly better. Okay, we've got to be accurate. The bishop's going to have to move back, I think. And then we've got g4, f4. g4 or f4 in the right moment. I don't know if this is the right idea or not. Running out of ideas, though. I have very little time left. It's probably a draw. Objectively. Maybe not that easy. You can check and take on f4, but I win the b2 pawn, and it's still a game. I think he just hallucinated or something. If check. His knight d5 check. He can win my bishop, but I have a3, a2 there. Yeah, interesting rating, dude. All right, S4 and Arsenal fan Richie are up next, and Ayesta I should play. I'll definitely play Ayesta. He just put in the challenge. Yeah, we had chances to mate too. It's a very strange player. I can't really understand. One moment he seems very strong, and the next moment not that strong. It's really inconsistent and weird. Okay, f4. So against f4, I mean d5 is the recommended line. But there's no way a guy that can make me barely win is going to be going around with a 1400 rating. Someone should definitely flag him for rating manipulation. All right. I mean, you know, you have your like 5-year-old kid playing on your account. That's nice, you know, but get him another account. You know, it's like, don't have more than one person playing on the same account. The toilet variation, according to Mark Hebden. Funny that no one ever plays this against me. This is the first time I've ever seen it in years. It's actually probably one of White's best ways to play against that gambit, if not the best way. Yeah, it's obviously a suspicious account, man. But it doesn't feel like a computer, you know, so it's like two different people playing. Like one is playing the rated bullet games, and a different person is playing the... a different person is playing on my stream, basically, than the person who created the 1400 bullet rating. That's what I would guess, but, you know, you can speculate what you want. The obvious answer is that it's two different players based on rating and who's playing on my stream. The favorite at Hastings. All right, Queen F3 makes sense. What am I supposed to do? Okay, you are blocking your... You're blocking your guy. You know, the knight on G1 doesn't have a good square there now. So I'm going to do the obvious thing and fianchetto my bishop. Oh, no. Come on now. H4. That's not friendly. Caveman. caveman chess, but it has its points. It activates your rook on h3, and I can understand. I was supposed to play unusual openings, but I thought this was weird enough, you know, toilet variation for white. What can I do, you know? I should have played a weird opening myself on move 1, but here we are. So I hate letting white play h5 in this kind of situation, but maybe it's not so bad. As long as he can't play h6, it's probably not that bad to allow h5. He's always going to have h6 annoying me, though. Now maybe he even plays like bishop c4. I don't know if he can afford it, but I'm not really happy with the way this went down. The guy finished third in the 5-0 blitz tournament yesterday. I mean, give me a break. There were quite a few strong players in my blitz tournament, you know, 21, 2200 types. So that's bogus, dude. Not about oscillating. I mean, he's literally 2100. Bishop d3. Why bishop d3? That looks really lame. Maybe I should play c4 and try to punish him. There's something suspicious about white's setup now. I liked it at first, but why not bishop c4 instead of bishop d3? He almost wins a piece here. Queen h3. I was really worried about that. Queen h3 followed by queen h7 with serious threats. Now what? Maybe the two knights on g8 and f6. I'm not going to be able to get rid of that knight on g5. Maybe ever. The other knight, the other brother Daryl. This is really awkward. Weird position, that's all I can say. It wasn't technically a weird opening. I guess the toilet variation you can call weird, but it's not that weird actually. I mean, you just, let's play c3. Create chaos. It's going to be hard to open it up and get at him. Now the line's closed on the queen side. What am I going to do to get in? Nowadays, even 1,000 rating can beat an old rated player having a 2,000 rating. Well, okay. If we're talking about over the board and little kids, you know, playing in their second tournament or something, I agree. But you know, if you turned this into an over the board situation, my opponent would have 50 rated games, and little kids who are capable of beating a 2,000 rated player, it's actually not that common. 2,000 rated player losing to thousands, it doesn't happen every day, and it would probably be like someone with like 10 rated games or something like that, like a really provisional type of player. I don't think it's that it's not that common actually for that to happen. It does happen, particularly at like the US Amateur Team Championship. You're playing like a little kid who has 10 rated games and he's rated 1,000, but his real strength is like 1,600, and you're having a bad day and you're old and you're going down. Maybe All right. Any 2,000 player worth his salt doesn't lose to 1,000 players. If they were that weak, they wouldn't be 2,000 anymore. I mean, I know a lot of people who are like 2,200, you know, at one point, and they're like 1,900s now. It's very common. But if they're still 2,000, then they're probably still playing like a 2,000. This is a good move. So it's a very subtle threat. And I'm running out of ideas here. Alright, my king is actually relatively safe. Strange and irritating position. I'm starting to get dizzy from this. No tactics, no openness, just locking everything you can lock. It's hard to play like that for me. I can see like upsets of 500 points, you know, happening fairly frequently. But 1,000 points is really rare. That would be like the upset prize at the U.S. Amateur Team Championship or something, which is going to happen in like 1 or 2 games, basically. I don't really lose to anybody ever like more than 400 points lower than me. But certain people are better than others at beating lower rated players. Rabbit bashers. It's a specialist kind of thing. Rook d8 looks interesting. Then he'll have another annoying threat. Okay, queen e3, knight e5. Queen f2, knight takes e4. Take your pick of ways to skewer my queen and rook. Alright, you're not going to do that. Good. It's been so irritating playing this game. Extremely hard to do anything. Knight takes e4. This position is just starting to piss me off. Okay, what? Wow. It's like chess in slow motion, what my opponent is doing here. It's very, very weird. Is his bishop trapped? He's like winning on time. His style is almost as weird as Soltigo. Alright, clearly I don't have a lot of choices. I can play e6, but he's got to have some way. I've got to have some way to get in there at him. I'm gonna lose my mind soon. And he's so fast. I don't think this was fast. I mean, fast. This was the best move. Bishop f7 check. It's a nice tactic. Just wins. Too weird for me, man. All right. Apparently I was winning if I take on e4. But I didn't even realize that that was even possible, I think. You just sort of hypnotized me with the weirdness in this game. I don't know, it was a very, very strange position. Hypnotizing me. Queen f3. And he has a forced win here with queen c3, winning a pawn. So g6 was bad, like, right from the start. That's the first time I've faced this in years. Weird position. Even bishop b5 is like never played. Never ever seen this in my life. So I don't know. Probably knight d7 isn't a great move. Joe Gallagher talks about this position in his book Beating the Anti-Sicilians, but he just kind of cites several different moves. Knight d7, queen c7. I'm not sure what black should play here. Queen d5 is like a possibility too. That same guy has a game. So congratulations. I didn't see that bishop f7. I was expecting you to take on e5. Even that though is probably good for white. After queen d6, you can even take here. I don't have anything. I was afraid of this, you know. That's also not good for me. But I overlooked bishop f7. He's just winning the queen for a rook after this. White is winning. Not a good game by me. I played some good games today, but this was not one of them. Alright, we were a little bit hazy and confused in that game. That's happening sometimes when we play a line we haven't played in a while. As I mentioned, that variation is very infrequently played. A lot of people push the e5, which is bad. Alright, unusual openings I'm supposed to play, and I forgot last game. Against Arsenal fan, maybe we'll play the birds opening. Trompowsky attack, yeah, if I have time, I'll try to play it the next time I'm white. There's no guarantee. Saul beat you 4 out of 5 games with 1 draw, Soltigo. You both have an interesting approach to the opening. Self-taught players, you know, I can see that in your styles. You're not like players who learn from books. And there's a lot of bad habits, but there's also creativity as a result of that. So it can go both ways. Soltigo, you need to you need to improve in end games for sure, because your games are always very tactical. You never reach like equal end games. All right, Arsenal fan. Another Dutch, basically. I like the Dutch Leningrad. I'm not really fond of playing the Stonewall with the closed structure. Does the exchange French warrant a whole book? Well, I mean, I'd be surprised if there wasn't a book on the exchange French. It's just not a very trendy line. One of my students was mentioning that they saw Yasser giving a lecture, you know, online in one of those chess club of St. Louis or whatever things, and I guess it was, you know, but he talks about it. He said that this is kind of shocking, but Yasser claims that in all his years of playing the French, he never faced an exchange variation. I mean, that's pretty amazing. But strong players don't play the exchange variation, Arsenal fan, and that's why, you know, you're kind of like asking a relevant question. Occasionally you'll see it like one strong player against another strong player because they have to make a draw. In a tournament situation where all they need is a draw, you commonly see someone playing for a draw, or like a 2400 player playing a 2700 player. Last year, Zoltan Amashi's brother Istvan was paired with Rapport in the first round of the Zalakaros Chess Festival, and he played the exchange variation against the French. I mean, if somebody's 300 points higher rated, it's not a bad, not a bad idea probably to try to play the exchange French for a draw. Rapport won anyway, but Amashi just didn't play very well. I mean, it wasn't because the exchange French is bad for white. It's really equal. But there's a lot more stupid things that have had, complete books written about them than the exchange French. Dutch is Russia. The Geller-Tulish Gambit. I know the Geller Gambit, but there's no guarantee my opponent will play the Slav. Someone requested me play the Trompowsky, which is an interesting suggestion. But again, I have to have cooperation from my opponent. This position is obviously very similar to the other game when I played the Dutch. There's the ambulance for you guys. Or it's probably a BKK. It's the Budapest Transportation Department. They have a big emergency, like someone had to go pick up a lunch across town or something. They basically use the sirens for everything. And in the United States, it would be like considered noise pollution, probably against the law, for like every vehicle to use loud sirens. But I guess here anything goes. My older apartment was even worse though. I lived near the street, and it was like, actually the English football guys on like bachelor party holidays were the worst in the evening. Arsenal fan. The Geller-Tulish Gambit is probably a real thing. Most people call it the Geller Gambit, but Tulish was another Soviet grandmaster. A5, grabbing some space. I'm gonna get out of here. Nice knowing you. I'm heading for H1 and greener pastures over on the king side. Then we'll go about our business. It's a lot like a closed Sicilian. Of course, this is different but similar to the game with Soltigo. In his game, his bishop wasn't on London system position on f5, it was back on c8, and he was playing like bishop b7 or bishop a6. But the structure is the same. Ambient mic. Good idea. With the window closed, it's not so bad though. You can't really hear the noise pollution. We've got, air pollution and noise pollution. Pretty smoggy here all the time. I guess it's not as bad as China. I haven't been to Shanghai recently. No one's like wearing masks outside. But the noise pollution is bad enough. Okay, now which way to recapture? Bishop takes or queen takes? Both interesting. Maybe bishop takes with the idea of queen g2. And then pushing the g-pawn. This is basically, in a sense, a King's Indian attack. The Dutch and the King's Indian are actually closely related. And that's why I always thought about playing the Leningrad Dutch with black, because I always played the King's Indian. For years and years, it was my main defense to d4 until I started playing the Nimzo, and transitioning to the Dutch Leningrad would probably be fine, but there's so many anti-Dutch lines that make playing the Dutch really difficult. That's what makes playing the Dutch really difficult, I think, the anti-Dutch lines. Now, for our next trick, is it better to play knight d1, knight e4, or take? I don't like trading knights here. Maybe we'll go with knight d1. Because I want to push his knight with g5. Trading knights with knight e4 would get him off the hook with that, for that thing, and I don't want to trade pieces. We want to attack. If knight d5, I would prefer to avoid exchanging pieces if possible. I think this is a bad move. I can play simply c3. But he's helping me accomplish my goal of avoiding exchanges of pieces, I guess. And knight c4 anyway heads for some good squares on e5, and my arrows are not working. Guys, we have like 30 minutes left in the stream. So I've got time for this challenge. I'm supposed to play Ayeste. He's a subscriber. He'll be next. And then Surdev. I think Surdev we missed last time, so it'd be good to get to play him. We'll definitely play those two games. I'm not sure if we'll get to another one. So it's time for g5. Against World Loser the other day, I didn't checkmate him because my rooks weren't connected, and I had some hallucination that I had a second rook coming over to f1 when I sacrificed one rook. Here it would be nice to get my other rook in the game. I think our attack is really strong though. I wish I had just one extra move with bishop d2 and we'd be absolutely overwhelming. It's still winning for white though. This attack is just too strong. It's like an ideal King's Indian attack. I don't mean King's Indian attack like the opening. I mean King's Indian style attack here for white. Well, just bishop d2. I guess he has knight f4, but that doesn't really do anything. I probably have g6 at some point. It's possible this move is even a tad slow, bishop d2. Maybe I should strike more quickly. I think you should play knight d7 instead. Maybe he has an idea. He can try to win a pawn with bishop d4 now. Missed it. That would be probably better. But maybe he's holding on. I don't know. I should be able to checkmate him on the king's side. Bishop d4 looked a little stronger. If he takes, we take with the pawn, and we try to just brutally checkmate him. All of our pieces are in the game, and he's kind of suffocated. Still not that easy to finish him off. Primitive mating threats are the way to go here. The more primitive, the better. Simple. Keep it simple. Yeah, he's gonna get mated. One last detail I have to take care of. I think you should leave that there because that gave you the bishop f2 that could deny me from threatening mates. Bishop e7 might be the worst move. So now I have queen e4, queen h4. In this line you would have had that annoying bishop f2 idea. I guess he's going to sack a piece or something. Just mate directly. I'm not sure it was that easy to win if you play another move here. I guess it's winning. At this point you had to play g6 right away. And you can maybe move king g7 and rook h8. And it's not that easy to checkmate you. Okay, Ayesta is next, and then Serdev, who I didn't get to play the other day. Alright, Ayesta, good luck. Unusual opening stream today. I might get a white on the last round, in the last game, and try to play a Trompowsky. Someone suggested that. Against e4, I think Ayesta plays knight f3, so we can't do any kind of fun gambits or anything like that against him. I played a couple duches today. Let's try c5. He just takes. I might have played this against him once. I mean, d5 is clearly the best move for white after c5. Now, I guess knight a6 is possible. But I think there you can do like knight c3. So I'm not sure. Knight a6, knight c3, knight takes c5. So instead I can play knight f6. If I remember correctly, this is considered better than knight a6. Because it gives me additional possibilities of knight to g4. Knight c3, interesting. I guess queen a5 is okay. But then you have a3. But then I have knight e4. Or even knight d5. But then bishop d4. It's kind of weird. I have to think about this. Even knight g4 is possible. But then bishop d4, knight c6, or e5. Knight g4, bishop d4, e5, h3, pawn takes d4 wins a piece. So knight g4. It's strange. I mean, I don't know. Knight g4, bishop d4, e5. And it's almost like he has to go back to e3, then I take on e3 and take on c5. Doesn't feel right to play knight g4 though. I'm not developing my pieces. Perhaps he can try something different, like queen d2. Knight g4, queen d2. Knight takes e3, queen takes e3. But then I have knight a6. So I don't know. It seems to be playable. I wouldn't call it an old Benoni. I would call it just a Benoni. I don't know what to call it. I guess you call it what you want to call it. It's just too early to say what it is. It can transpose to all different types of Benonis. I don't know. Is there such a thing, a real thing as the old Benoni? I mean, there's the old Indian, but old Benoni is kind of a made-up name. If I play e6, it's a Franco Benoni. If I play, I can transpose to a normal Benoni, I can transpose to a Czech Benoni. The real question is after d4, c5, d5, e5, what that's called, because I'm not sure. Dvoretsky played that against me in a blitz game. Yeah, this is what I was thinking, but we'll just snap on e3 and play knight a6, and black should be fine. Knight e4, knight takes c5, knight takes c5, queen a5 check with the, at least equality for black. And at the end of the day, he's given up his bishop. Maybe he just castles here, something dynamic. But we do have the bishop pair for whatever it's worth. Black should be okay. Classical Benoni. I don't know. Yeah. So, knight takes e5, we're good to go, right? We've got Ayesta in a foreign situation. Some of our more solid players, Nefyadov comes to mind on the stream. I think the best way to handle them is to get them out of their comfort zone. And I guess that's true with everybody. I mean, in general. Okay, I have the bishop pair here. And the endgame is going to be microscopically better for black. However, I am committing to playing d5 here. While it controls the center, it will restrict my bishop, my white squared bishop, in the future. Ayesta just hallucinated. Let's offer him a take back. Castle's queenside just loses a piece. I guess he's thinking he could play queen takes e4, and like it would be an even trade or something. But I offer to take back. Oops. He's not responding. Alright guys, I have time for one more game, regardless of what happens here. So, he needs to make a move of some import here. Knight takes c5 seems like the most correct. He's going back to c3, which I think is kind of going against principles, essentially. I feel like he's actually playing as if he's black almost now. He should probably back off. And I don't know about queen a5 is usually a bad move, but here we have a really straightforward threat to pin it and win it. So now knight e4, and we're happy. You're not getting out of this so easily. In fact, I mean, a3 probably only makes the situation worse. He never really found his balance in this game. I guess I'm winning. I mean, he can play knight to d4. I wasn't sure if there's anything here for white. Some complications. but it's not really great. All right, so Yesta needs to think about that system. But let's see, is bishop e3 really a good move? Not played too frequently. I mean, e4 transposes to a queen's gambit accepted with colors reversed. That's perfectly okay. Apparently knight c3 first is more accurate. Now here most people play knight a6. I played knight f6. Giving him time to play a3, that might be inaccurate. I knew this, but I thought after knight c3, for some reason white was okay. The engine says black's better. Alright. Weird. Instructive will be the last game for today. I think he was bubbled last time. Attack 98 next time, hopefully. Very rare to see Yesta lose early. Well, he's, again, like Nefedov, a player who's hard to get out of his comfort zone. But if you do get him out of his comfort zone, then I think he's usually quite uncomfortable. It's kind of like the bigger they are, the harder they fall. It works like that. All right, last game for today, guys. What are we going to do? I don't know anything about Serdev. He's like 1700-ish. But we'll play the St. George. We did one of those with white today, but we'll finish with that. Hard to get it to a mainstream position when I play a6. But so my point is, these players like Ayeste and Nefedov, who have pretty solid repertoires that are, you know, really complete in most lines, they don't get into abstract positions very often. And I guess if we can get them into a really weird situation, then they sometimes collapse because they just so rarely have to deal with that. No Trompowsky today. I like playing against the Trompowsky, honestly. Alright, so we have the same position we had earlier with colors reversed, except white's played knight f3 instead of queen e2. My favorite setup for white is queen e2, bishop d3, queen e2 right away, without knight f3. I mean, this is also a main line, but technically the most accurate for white would be bishop d3, queen e2 first. No Geller Gambit. Yep. Well, the Geller Gambit is almost like not an unusual opening. I would, you know, encourage people to play that opening anyway, like as a standard line. It's very unpleasant for Slav players to play against the Geller Gambit. Usually they're looking for something solid. So I've had good success with the Geller Gambit in my personal practice. The downside is that the lines are pretty deeply analyzed. Okay, this quote-unquote variation that Serdev is playing with the early e5, it's probably not bad for white. It's like less fluid and flexible than some systems. Normally white keeps the pawns back, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. He could even play like bishop g5 here. Although trading pieces, I'm not sure if that's what he really wants to do. This is an interesting move, knight c3. Heading for e4 and hoping that I take and like strengthen his center. So I don't know about this. I think I should probably consider c5. And striking at the center. But we have to be very wary about the d6 square in particular. I also give my queen mobility out to b6 or c7, usually b6. If he takes on d5, we take with the bishop, that's fine. If he goes knight e4, I was actually thinking about knight b4, maybe. Well, first, I thought about knight b4, but it may not be good. I guess I'd have to take on d4, which is okay. Knight e4, c takes d4, it turns into something that looks like a Sicilian. And the famous game that Karpov won with black against lost with white against Tony Miles Black, was actually where Karpov took on c5 in a structure like this, creating essentially a Sicilian, which is not necessarily the ideal. f6 is a provocative move, very risky, but may be necessary at some point. Bishop e7 could lead to complications. Queen b6, unfortunately, I'm a little reticent to play queen b6 because of knight e4. No, queen b6, d takes c5, bishop takes c5, knight e4, and I don't have a good place to put my bishop. So f6 may not be that bad. Very provocative move. It's obviously risky, but that's how we have to play. Did not anticipate this. Now he has knight e5, monster tactics. That may just win by force. Then we'll have the, he's 1400 in blitz. Wow, impressive win. We'll have time for the other challenge if he checkmates me here with knight e5. So it looks like I can play pawn takes g5, queen h5 check, king e7. Queen takes g5 check, king d6. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, he's just winning immediately with knight e5. So f6 was incorrect. It was too early. Maybe I have a move. All right, kids. We're not going to give up yet. I can play king e7. But that's also pretty scary. Bishop takes f6, king takes f6, queen h5. And I'd be surprised if I'm okay there. I have another move, queen e7. Queen h5 check, king d8. Knight f7 check, king c8. Knight takes h8 and like takes on g5 and try to play down the exchange. But this is my punishment for playing f6 too early. So a good idea, but it was just too early to get away with it. I think this is just winning for white. Knight e5. h6. I mean, his bishop g6 check. That looks... I just assumed that's bad for me. I mean, I doubt that it survives. h5 does stop the immediate threat, but it weakens the g6 square. So, bishop g6 check, king e7, knight f7. There has to be something for white there. Serdev just played bishop h4. After which, you know, it's still interesting, but it seems like I'm okay now. Knight c6, anyone? Daring him to do it again? Maybe queen b6, leaving my f6 pawn hanging. That's a good idea. We have lots of moves. I mean, I can even do c4. He should still do knight e5 there. The problem is if I play bishop e7, he just takes on c5. And I lose like a full tempo. I guess knight c6 makes the most sense on paper. But I'm still not convinced it's okay for me. Maybe I can play bishop e7 and then try to castle kingside. This still looks really, really bad. c4. Again, knight e5. Looks devastating. I just don't have time for any of this. C takes d4. Maybe I have a weird plan like queen e7. Queen e7, knight e5, queen g7, queen h5 check. That's interesting. It seems very unnatural to me to play that. Maybe rook g8 is not that ridiculous. But in all lines, it's really unpleasant for me. Just way too early to play f6. Bishop e7 looks like the move. But now he's taking on c5, so that's going to be the question. I'm just down a pawn on c5. It's going to be hard to get it back. Yeah, he just instantly took it. But now I can take it back, like on the next move, perhaps. Play b4, grandmaster move. Knight takes b4, knight e5. But there I can maybe try to castle. Bishop takes h7 check, king takes h7 with a brutal attack for white. Yeah, b4 looks like the move. Said he played this, giving me time to grab the pawn. But still knight e5 is scary. No, I can just take with a knight. Okay, never mind. So he missed b4 and he played a3 instead of b4. He missed a lot of things. I mean, obviously knight e5 instead of bishop h4. f6 was just way too much for me. If you think a lot, the stream ends. Why didn't I take on f6 with a knight? Well, there are other problems after that. But in retrospect, you're probably right. But if I have to take with a knight on f6, then I don't want to play f6 anyway. I would prefer to just play some other move, you know, like moving my queen or something. His bishop is excellent on h4. It becomes a blocker on g3. So it's hard for black to actually do anything. He can try to challenge my bishop on d5 with like bishop e4. I think white is slightly better here, without a doubt. played really solidly, but missing the really strong moves. White is only slightly better now, as opposed to like crushing me in the other lines. Structurally, white is better. He can play c4, bishop e4, and it's just a kind of thankless position for black. I do have knight to d4. Knight d4, queen takes d4. Probably my best chance. White's only slightly better now, as opposed to winning, which was where it was at before. This guy's really strong. 1794. Okay, he's panicking. Now he's starting to panic. So I have a5. Could be kind of dangerous for me, actually. b5, bishop takes a3. He's starting b7. Maybe I blundered here. Now a4. Oh, man. I shouldn't have played a5. It was a bad miscalculation. Fortunately, his bishop is really bad. Man, he's really cagey too. Tough player. He dropped a rook now. Only time seems to be his only enemy. So nice game. Just losing because of the time. He was better, you know. Maybe even here. I guess it's close to equal. But I made a very serious mistake. Never seen this move before. Knight c3. Appears to be a novelty. a4 is very common. New move, knight c3. Didn't know how to react to that. It looks quite strong. Maybe I have to take on c3. This was really aggressive. Taking on c3 now is the best option. f6 is a horrible move. Like you said, I can take with the knight, but it's not a good position, Rich. I don't want to do that. You know, maybe this is better than the other options. I don't really like this position though. D takes c5, bishop takes c5, knight e4, and white is just better. So I should take on c3, it looks like. Or queen c7 is probably the lesser of the evils. This would be the best move, I guess. But after this, man, you have take and knight e5. I mean, this is just game over. The best line looks like my losing the exchange variation. Queen e7, queen h5 check, king to d8, knight f7 check, king c8, walking away, and now knight takes h8, f takes g5 would have been what I would do, but black is objectively lost here. So he thought forever and he didn't play knight e5. That's my only chance to like keep my position alive after knight e5. anything else and you're going to get mated. You take here, it's just you lose a queen, right? Queen takes g5 check, king e8. Oh, this move is actually a mistake. First he has to take on d5, and then queen takes g5 check, king e8. Queen h5 check, king e7. That's weird. Oddly, the computer says just takes on c5, trapping my king in. Queen h4 check, king e8, queen h5 check. It's just like repeating position, but then you have to do like d takes c5. I mean, it's possible that he saw this and he wasn't sure, but now you're threatening queen f7 mate. So I have to go here, and I lose the rook. Here check, king c8, queen takes h8, king b7. It was a long road to b7. Queen takes f8, and again it's another position where I'm down the exchange without any kind of compensation. So good to know about knight e5. That's just a premature f6 on my part is really bad. This is a problem too because of knight e4. So I had to play queen c7. Not so bad. Not so bad. Alright guys, tomorrow night there's going to be a subscriber stream, so bring some games to analyze. That's at 7 p.m. CET here on Twitch and lichess. Thanks for the donation we had via PayPal. I really appreciate the support. So you guys, if you want to support the stream, you can do that, or just subscribe here on Twitch. I do upload the streams to my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Sort of, I couldn't calculate that far in a short time. Yeah, I mean, you might have seen knight e5, but not been sure, you know, if it works at the end. So look at that, like, white's actually down material. D takes c5, but my king can't get away. Intuitively, I felt it was strong. Sometimes you just have to trust your intuition, and that's all you can do in blitz. It's for fun. So we'll see you guys tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Thanks, Soltigo, for moderating. Thanks, everybody, for subscribing, and we'll see you again then, 7 p.m. CET tomorrow night. Bring some games, and we'll have some blitz and game analysis on my subscriber stream. Thanks again, guys. Later. Bye-bye.